And another thing that a lot of people don't know, especially with the I'll say that more modern style of heater that everyone is building, where it's a sealed combustion chamber. The Pentair's Master Temp, Jandy's came out with theirs a couple of years ago. I know Hayward just came out with theirs. Condensation and soot and corrosion from the outside because of condensation is a huge thing. And we've found with, again, being primarily a Pentair dealer, that Master Temp heaters, and I'm sure this is the same because the design is the same with all of them, that the majority of condensation occurs when you're heating water that's below 72 degrees. So in the early spring, we find people that will, it's going to be, 80 degrees on Saturday. Let's fire the heater up on Thursday, get the pool up to 85. We're going to swim on Saturday. Then Sunday, it's going to be 60 and cold, so we shut it off. And they go through this cycle of on, off, on, off, on, off with it, heating water that's below 72 to above 72. And the condensation forming on the outside of the exchanger ends up corroding the exchanger from the outside in. And it's not something that happens as rapidly as when you have your pH is yellow, like you just described, which can be as short as days. But it's definitely something that we've found, it takes a heater that commonly will last easily 8 to 10 years and shortens that life down to 4 or 5. And people just don't understand it when they end up with problems on something that, they spent thousands of dollars on and only got 4 years out of it. And now they're being told they either have to invest thousands to fix it or replace it or whatever. So educating as far as water chemistry, but also educating as far as usage. And where you're at, I would imagine the aspect of the gas heaters being used on spas, that the potential of that is even higher.
Yes.
Because if you've got, the cold pool water that you then flip the spa on every other night because you want to get it up to 100 degrees and you ramp that thing up from 65, 68 degrees up to 100 degrees to use the spa, you've got that happening even more frequently than what we encounter as a rule here on just swimming pools.
Now, I don't know about the Master Temp, but I know on the Hayward's the small footprint heater, they actually have a tube that you install, and there's a little knob that you connect the tube to, and it's for the condensation. So the condensation can be removed from the heater and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And not all installers put that in because they don't know what it is.
Right. And although that takes and gives the condensation a pathway out, what inevitably happens is the condensation builds up within the fins of the exchanger and it doesn't migrate completely down to those drains. And then that's where the damage starts occurring. And it also at that point is collecting the carbon out of the combustion and starting to soot up. And then you have an issue with heat transference and all the rest of it that causes further fatigue of the exchanger and failures too. So, high efficiency heaters, Jandy's got one, Pentair's got one. I just heard the other day Pentair is coming out with a 250,000 BTU high efficiency heater for next year.
Oh, wow.
Which will be interesting, but those have always had the condensate lines on them because that the higher the efficiency, the more, as I understand, the more corrosive that condensation becomes, and the more important it is to make sure you're doing everything you can to get that out of the combustion chamber and carried away. But we every chance we get, certainly in every pool we build, and every opportunity we get to educate people as we're putting heaters in, we basically tell them in our market, once you start heating in the spring, you're committed to the pool being at least 72 degrees.
Yeah.
Just don't turn it down below that, and you're going to be fine. And on a one-off, I always tell people on a one-off, it's not something that you do it once or twice and you're doomed. This is constant. A longer thing, but it plays into it. So, so the tools of knowledge to be able to help people in terms of educating them on water chemistry and best practice with running their equipment, their heaters and such, are again, not the hammer and the screwdriver kind of stuff, but good tools besides.
Yeah. And I would also say another good tool is your reps for the manufacturers, because they're going to, with their equipment, they're going to see almost everything that we may not see. And they could have some really good information on how to install those things or make them more efficient, or, even just where to find the materials when you can't find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another area, and this comes from, like you're saying, having good reps. We had a particular installation, I would say within the last half a dozen years, where a heater failed and we couldn't identify why. And it turned out we had our local manufacturer rep, who our reps are fantastic in this market, but meet our technicians on site. And as they went through, he ended up testing the bonding wire that was connected to the heater for continuity to the remaining, to the rest of the bonding grid. Mm-hmm. And found that although we had a bonding wire attached that came off of the old heater, the continuity was lost as that wire continued through the rest of the system. So what was occurring by his, suggestion, I guess I would say, is that stray voltage was actually causing the damage to the heater.
Oh, wow.
And supposedly these it's slightly unusual, but not impossible to have heaters that aren't bonded to have failures because of stray voltage issues.
That does make sense.
So that was something that, again, all these years in the business, and I never would have thought that having a bonding wire could actually cause damage, cause harm, yeah, but damage, I really didn't consider that. So reps are a good tool as well. What about filters? Do you have anything you use on filters that's a good tool?
I think because filters are such a basic thing, it's nothing that I haven't seen other people use. I will say, make sure you have your socket set and your electric drill, because that's going to save time and also save you from destroying the bolt.
Yeah. Right.
My biggest thing with filters, and this is because I've had a couple issues the last year, is just double checking everything on it when you install a brand new one, because quality control sucks right now for everybody. And most of the time things are loose when I see them. Bolts, plugs, the air relief assembly on the top, just all kinds of things that when under pressure could possibly hurt you. So just double check everything. But yeah, I don't have anything special about filters that makes anything easier. I know I have to educate customers on cleaning filters, because they think, oh, I'll just take my pressure washer to these cartridges and it'll make it really clean. And it's like, yeah, and it'll shorten the life expectancy of it.
Yeah. I tell the story frequently in training that I do about a client that we had. He would come in every year and buy a new set of filters for his pool. And a few years in, I happened to see him in the store, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing that, they just wear out. I said, well, that's odd, because I have the exact same filter on my pool. And honestly, my pool right now, it's 16 or 17 years old, something like that. And I still have my original 2 sets of filters. I'm still using them today. So at that time, this was a handful of years ago, it wasn't quite that long, but I explained that to him, and he looked at me, he said, how is that? And I said, well, explain to me what you do. When these filters get dirty, what are you doing? And I expected him to say pressure washer. and it was even better than that. He drives a pickup truck, and he found the best way to clean them was throw them in the bed of the pickup truck and go through a car wash when the truck needs cleaning. Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
visual thinker, so I'm
Yeah.
watching this truck go through with the, the spinny thing and everything
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
rainbow soap.
And I can only imagine what he thought, the look on my face when he told me that. And because he almost immediately went, "That's probably not good, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, that's probably not good." I said, we ought to, here's some products you can use, and you can soak them, and you can hose them off with your regular, hose pressure, not pressure washer pressure. And I'm pretty sure you'll get more than a season out of this set. So, yeah, car washes are not good tools. Not for pool filters anyway. For your car, it's fine, but not for your pool filter.
Oh my goodness.
We found through the years some tools, some filters, and the Pentair's cartridge filter has a drain plug on it, and in our market we have to address those twice a year, once at closing, once at opening. That isn't really easy to get to.
Those are not easy to get to.
Yeah, so there are companies that have made tools that fit in there and make it easy to get them out. It's like a box end wrench designed for that plug, or I think there's even a tool that you can attach to a drill with a knuckle kind of a connection to be able to use to get them out, and things like that make it helpful. Sort of here's an interesting thing that we run into around here. So in the wintertime, we have to open these filters up. We pull the drain plugs out, of course, to drain all the water out. And common practice, most everybody puts all of the drain plugs into the pump basket over the wintertime. That way, every pool company in the snow belt does this that I'm aware of. So we do that with the cartridge filters. And we found in recent years that rodents end up storing nuts inside the filter tanks. Because we've got that 1.5-inch hole left open all winter, and it gets them up out of the elements, and there's so they store nuts in there.
When we get things cozy.
Yeah. And believe it or not, we winterize a lot more pools than we open. Opening is easier and less worrisome for people, so they'll do them themselves. And we find that when people open them, they don't bother cleaning those filters out. They just simply throw the cartridges back in, screw the drain plug back onto the bottom, and fire them up. And these acorns and other kinds of seeds and nuts and stuff end up getting shot straight into the heaters.
Oh no!
And they clog the heaters and end up causing problems with the heaters that sometimes ends up destroying the heater because of issues with, you've got pressure but no flow and all this kind of stuff. So we've gotten into the habit in the last handful of years that although we pull those filter plugs
open it all up,
we put the filter plugs back in as soon as it's drained out.
Okay.
So that they can't crawl back in there. So not a tool necessarily, but just something that we've run into.
Well, that's good to know often for people who are listening in those areas where they winterize the pools, and they don't think about the rodents, storing their food for the winter.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Place your ad here and launch your product with the Talking Pools podcast. For information on sponsoring the Tuesdays with Kelly and Dan show, contact us at talkingpools@gmail.com.
Another tool that we've got a couple of that is handy, and I wish I could remember where we got it or what the name of it is, but it's especially handy when working on lights in a pool. It's I'm going to call it a dry well.
Okay.
It's a piece of stainless steel with kind of like a box cut in half, and it's got rubber gaskets around that otherwise sharp edge, and you put it down into a pool up against the wall. Drop a small pump into it and pump the water out from inside of it. And the water pressure around it in the pool pushes it up against the wall, and you can get down to the light without having to be in water.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's, kind of a clever, I'm not sure who came up with it, and we've had them for a number of years. I know they're still out there being sold, but, in the colder weather where, right now, not a big deal. Pools are 80 plus degrees, and who cares? You reach in them, you jump in them, you do whatever you got to do.
Yeah,
But
I stopped doing lights at the end of September because the water gets too cold.
Yeah, and for us, by the time we get to the end of September, most of the pools are going to be cold enough that you're not going to want to be up to your neck reaching down to get lights in and out. And
yeah, I have
things
three
like that,
lights.
so.
3 lights I have to do tomorrow, and we had to drain the pool below the lights because I couldn't get them out. And the customer tried getting them out. He's like, "Yeah, we're going to drill all the heads off the screws."
Yeah,
and I'm just like, "Oh, this is going to be fun. It's going to be in the 70s tomorrow. The water was cold when it was 100. Like, I'm not looking forward to this job tomorrow at all." And I'm one of the few people, like, I just hear people all the time, "Oh, I hate doing lights. There's no money in it because it takes so long." And I'm like, I make great money at doing lights.
Yeah, some of those things that we actually had a visit. We do this a couple times a year with. We're in Illinois, and we've got some friends a couple hours north, just across the border in Wisconsin, and they send some of their staff down by us. We send some of ours up by them and spend the day just to, talk about how you do things and exchange ideas and such. So they were down today, and they were, we were talking about how there are a number of things that a lot of pool companies don't want to do.
Yep.
And if you are one who is, able to do that kind of work and do it effectively, well, sometimes there's a niche for that, and you can certainly increase your margins and make a better life for yourself and your employees by jumping into some of those little bit off beaten areas that not everyone wants to deal with. So if lights is the thing in your area, go for it. In other areas, there are a lot of people that don't want to work on hot tubs, portable, self-contained hot tubs, for example.
My dad, he specializes in spas. Like, he could do everything. Like, he's really good. But spas, like hot tubs, were his thing. He can get in and out and knows what to do and all. And, there are stores that give his card out to anybody who says they have a hot tub issue because of how good he has gotten that niche. Yeah,
and it's the kind of thing that you can really write your own ticket. If no one else is doing it, well, then your time is extremely valuable, and you're able to capitalize on it.
Now, my specialty, lots of people can do it, but most people don't, I guess, is I love programming for automation.
Okay. Yeah.
And I love every single aspect of it. And a lot of companies use me just to go do programming and orientation. And it's easy. It could be 105 out, and I'm fine because I'm just standing there, programming. Yeah. But when it comes to builders and plaster companies, automation is something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. There's that is another area. In fact, there are a number of companies around us that from the builder standpoint that are building 100, 150, 200 pools a year, which in our market is a significant number of pools, and they don't even install automation because they really don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Makes great work for us in the aftermarket because as we occasionally get called into those yards to help them repair something or whatnot, our technicians are always we train them in terms of keeping your eyes open for opportunity,
right?
And and it's funny because there are a number of pool spa combos out there with no control system, and to me that just is is like, why?
Everybody wants to be able to just push one button. Everything happens.
Yeah, and we've got everything on our phones today too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people are turning their thermostats in the house up and down. They're programming their irrigation system. They're doing everything from their phone. But there's their pool where they got to go walk around the corner of the house and turn valves and change the setting on the heater and turn the spa lights on and all this kind of stuff where that should be on their phone too.
When I'm talking about, when I'm trying to sell automation, and I know these people are like people who go skiing and stuff like that, if we ever have snow, and I'll be like, hey, if you know it takes 30 minutes for your hot tub to heat up to where you want it, when you're on your way home from skiing, your hot tub can be ready for you to relax in. And people are like, that's a great idea. Or, hey, you're at dinner and you and your husband want to have romantic time and go in the hot tub with the lights. You push a button, it'll be ready when you get there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, even, portable hot tubs are a huge thing here. And, a lot of those are incorporating smart device control into them right out the door. We sell a few different lines and they all have that ability. Some of them it's optional, but it's built right into it. So when pools aren't set up with that, and it usually boils down to the builder is really more of a nuts and bolts kind of a builder. Mm-hmm. Doesn't get into the technology aspect of stuff. And
I look at that as a missed opportunity on the builder's end, because that could, automation systems aren't cheap.
No, it's like, well, in fact, our friend Heather just did a podcast the other day on taking advantage of opportunities and capitalizing and finding ways to, maybe make money in the slower seasons and things like that. Well, this is one of those areas. It's exactly that. Like, how do you build a pool and not make an extra few grand off of putting automation in? Or if you're in the service sector or even the maintenance sector and you walk into a yard and a pool doesn't have automation, there should be a conversation. There should be a brochure left. There should be a text sent with a link to something. Yeah. There should be something to pique their interest. And I know we're talking about tools and that today, but this is just another tool, right? The text on your phone is another tool to get that client to have some interest in something that'll get you more work and put more money in your pocket.
Exactly. And that's not, you want to make more money so you can have a comfortable life and get to whatever level you're looking to be at. I've had it where I have companies, they don't want to do repairs at all, so they send them to me. Or I had one where the guy prefers Pentair, but you can't get a Pentair pump right now, so he hired me to he referred me to his customer because he wanted a Hayward pump in there instead. And I'm like, well, why don't I'll help you. Like, if you need any help with it, since it's a different pump, like with programming or whatever, I can come and I'll train you. Like, I don't mind. And he's like, no, I don't want to confuse myself. I'll just stick to what I know, and you could do something extra and it makes you money. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But that's where, when you are a service company or repair company, like you said earlier, you need to know everybody's stuff. You can't just know one, because there isn't a single market where there's just one manufacturer and that's it.
No, and especially in the COVID years, when whether it's a Hayward, Pentair, Fluidra dealer, whatever, when you couldn't get product from your go-to source, and you everybody was getting whatever they could get to be able to get these pools operational. So you're more so than ever in the last few years, we're seeing, our market is a very strong Pentair market, but there's a lot more Hayward and Fluidra stuff in the last 2 years than there ever would have been if it wasn't for all the shortages and so on. So you really do need to be versed or have access to the information to be able to work on all of it if you want to be really a true skilled craftsman at what you're doing.
And I think this thing I'm going to say is more on the kind of going with, when you see things that can make you more money, don't ignore them, is sign up for every manufacturer's reward program you can, because that's just extra money in your pocket. And yes, you may sell all Pentair, but here's, like you said, we've had it where you've had to buy Hayward or you've had to buy Jandy because that's all there is. Why not get a few extra bucks because of doing that?
Yeah, and it also kind of gets you into some pathways of additional information too. When you sign up for those rewards programs, you're on the list, and you'll get some updates, you'll get some bulletins. You're a Hayward warranty station, so what that's about in terms of the product bulletins and updates that you get from Hayward to keep you abreast of anything going on. People that aren't currently warranty stations, they might want to pursue becoming warranty stations for one or two or maybe even all three of the big three manufacturers to have more exposure on that level too. Obviously there's great reasons to be a warranty station because it opens doors and brings potential. You go out and you work on a heater that's under warranty, and while you're there, if you're looking around, maybe you see they don't have a control system. Next thing you know, you're out there a few days later putting in a $3,500 control system for them.
I will say I make good money when I do the warranties, but it's the extra work that makes doing warranty worth it.
Yeah, for us, the warranty is really loss leader kind of stuff. Like our overhead that we've got, the warranty never covers our cost even to go out. But it's not about that. It's about growing the customer base and being the ones in the area that everyone goes to, right?
Yep.
So if they Google, hey, I need my heater fixed, I want my name popping up first. And
yes,
if I'm doing warranty for different manufacturers, that just helps all that.
Yeah, because they list you on their website.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of customers. Like I had a heater last spring. Guy had a Hayward heater. It died. He wanted another Hayward heater, and he went on the website. He saw my name. He called, and I got the job.
Yep. That's awesome.
And that happens actually a lot. Customers, when they've had something last 15, 20 years, they kind of want to stick with, the brands that they have because they feel that comfort with them because it's lasted so long.
Yeah, for sure. So there's another tool, right?
Yep.
By being a warranty station and being listed on the manufacturer's site as such, it's a tool that brings business to you that allows you to expand what you're doing.
Exactly.
Grow. Good stuff.
So we have been talking for quite a while, which is nice because when I was doing it by myself, I was struggling getting 7 minutes. But I hope that you guys found the things that we're coming up with that may not be the typical tools is beneficial. Obviously, we could probably go on for hours on this, but we know you guys have to work and you have families. So we want to thank you so much for listening.